Well, good morning and welcome to a new week as we observe today in the week of the third Sunday after Pentecost. This is Monday, and we are indeed delighted to be here with you as we join together in these devotions. As we look forward into the new week, we hold the theme, look at what is not seen, for what is seen is temporal. What is not seen is eternal. I'd just like us to reflect somewhat on this passage. It's coming out of the second epistle of Paul to the Corinthians, and it's an interesting thought, and I want us to look at it during the course of this week. Invitation to look at what is not seen. For what is seen is temporal. What is not seen is eternal. How can we use this in our day-to-day life? I invite you to ponder it as we go into this week of reflections. We come into that space, and as we're in this space, we take a deep breath. And as you breathe in and out consciously, we open ourselves to be receptive to what God is doing in our lives. We want to be still and we want to be able to go within and to try as we might to release our fixation on this physical self of ours and see to what degree we can feel the expansiveness of our being. As you breathe in and out slowly, allowing a short pause between the in-breath and the out-breath. Just seeking to find that in-between space which in itself is vast, but it is well hidden until we know where to look for it. We breathe in and hold, breathe out and hold, breathe in and hold. We continue this cycle of breathing, taking our time to breathe, seeking to become more and more conscious of that in-between, that place of stillness. And as we breathe, we ground ourselves by, if possible, feeling the floor beneath us. And imagining like roots coming from the bottom of our feet, going all the way down into the center of the earth, to the core. Grounding ourselves in this earth. And opening ourselves up at the top of our head to the universe, to the sky. And feeling ourselves between these two vast spaces, the earth and the sky above. And feel ourselves in the midst of it all. What it feels like to be here in this vastness, with these two eternal dimensions passing through us. Jesus left the place and went away to the district of Tyre and Sidon. Just then a Canaanite woman from that region came out and started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not answer her at all. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." He answered, "It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord. Yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed from that moment. morning is broken. As we greet each day, it is amazing how we find ourselves in positions where we are being asked constantly to really look beyond what is obvious and to see the greater picture, to see the true message that is there for us. I chose this theme for this week because I find that for folks who are seeking to journey in faith, we kind of miss this point that is often made in scriptures. When we look at what is seen, we make judgments and we miss the whole point. When we look at what's not seen, there's an effort required. Because what is not seen is eternal. What is seen is temporal. When we look at each other, we see someone in front of us. And that's temporal. A time will come when that person will no longer be present. But there is another dimension. There is the soul that is incarnated within that person that we see. There is a soul that has brought itself into this physical experience where a small aspect of that soul is so compressed that we're able to see it. But what we see is by far a minuscule amount of that soul. Yet we make all of our decisions and judgments about that soul based on the small degree that we see. In the reading for this morning, we see an example of this. We see the Canaanite woman coming to Jesus and asking for help. And we see Jesus in this moment speaking to the finite, the temporal. He has come only to the lost sheep of Israel. Now, this is about a group of individuals who live in a particular cultural setting. They claim membership in a particular nation because this is where they have incarnated. So Jesus is referencing the incarnated dimension and indicating that this group is different from any other group. In the dialogue, the woman makes the point that one doesn't always need to sit at the table. One can also benefit from the crumbs. Jesus is amazed by her response. And Jesus honors her wish. Because she too is a soul journeying. And as a soul, she is playing a particular role. She is playing the role of the Canaanite woman. But on the grander scale, she is much more than the Canaanite woman. How oftentimes we catch ourselves deciding about others based on who they belong to, their group, their family, or sometimes based on what we've experienced of them, the things that they would have said or done. And while this may seem as though we are in some way justified in making the judgments that we make, as persons of faith, it is so vital that we constantly remember that it is not what we see, but it is what we don't see that is of vital importance. What would life be like if, as we encountered one another, we remembered each other's higher self or grander self? And we, in a sense, recognize that, yes, this person is challenging me here at this time. But for me to recognize that, this challenge is for me. It's not a condemnation. It's an invitation for me to grow. What if we could go through our day looking at the various things that come our way, not as things that we have to defend against or things that we have to attack, but to step away from our small self and look at everything that is coming our way and see where in this experience is that item that will lift me higher. Because, as Paul says, we look not at the things that are seen, but at the things that are not seen. Your journey, your life, your very existence is not about what you can see here in this world. Your existence, your purpose, is what is not seen. And this is why it is so vital for us, if we are part of a faith community, or even if we are on our own, to learn, to understand that the greatest work for us to do is an unseen work. It is the work of remembering our soul's purpose. It's the work of being aware of the grander self that I am, and not being caught up constantly in the minuscule and the minuteness of this existence. As I was saying earlier, even when it comes to matters of loss, when we lose a friend or lose a relationship, sometimes we behave as though this is the end of the world. And we do so because our focus is on that which is seen. And because we make that which is seen, that which is temporal, because we make that which is seen the raison d'etre, the reason for being here, or life's purpose, or all in all, then these things which are naturally temporal and passing, when they do pass, we are devastated, because we have invested our whole self in it. when in reality, there's no way that we can invest our whole self in anything that is temporal. Because our grander self is not engaged. Our grander self is able to look on and see and to learn. And so we need to practice becoming more and more aware of our grander self, our higher self. And that's what the ancients discovered. And hence why the invitation to practice disciplines such as contemplation or meditation, something that we've hardly heard anything about. And some groups have all kind of negative things to say about meditation. And it is the very thing. It is the very thing that we need to come to a better understanding of this journey. When I learn to meditate, when I learn to contemplate, I learn how to release my focus on that which is seen. And I allow myself to journey in the grander scope, in the greater field. I allow myself to participate more consciously in that which is not seen, in that which is eternal. So as we go through this week, as we journey from day to day, I want us to turn in our minds. Where do we put our attention? Where is the bulk of our attention? I would like to suggest that the bulk of our attention needs to be in that non-material arena, that space that is not seen, that space that is outside our five senses, and to consciously visit this dimension that is seen, knowing that we have no abiding place here. Our abiding place is in the realm of the unseen. But as day by day passes by, I have to engage in that which is seen. But I know this is not who I am. This is what I am doing. This is what I'm engaging in. But who I am is far, far greater. So we visit this material life, and then we return to our core, to our sense of self. Just give it some thought and see where it takes you.
Amazing grace will always be my song of praise, for it was grace that bought my liberty, and I do not know just why he came to love me so. He looked beyond my faults and saw my need, and I shall forever lift mine eyes to Calvary, to view the cross where Jesus died for me. And how marvelous that grace that caught my falling soul. He looked beyond my faults and saw my need. If not for grace, my soul would be a drifting ship with no safe harbor from the angry waves. But Calvary's cross shines brightest through the darkest of storms, and just in time His mercy rescued me, and I shall forever lift mine eyes to Calvary to view the cross where Jesus died for me. And how marvelous that grace that caught my fallen soul. He looked beyond my faults. He saw me in need.